Hi, day 6 of the 1605 Content Festival. Welcome. My name is Jente Kater. I'm from Voicebooking. 1605 is a new festival. While we were in lockdown, we thought, hey, let's do something inspiring, and we thought of one webinar, and then we thought of 2, 3. Let's do 1 week. No, we do 2 weeks, and it ended with 1 month of webinars, and that's this month. Before we start, I'm the founder of Voicebooking. I'm a voice actor myself, and you will hear me stutter every now and then. That's a strange thing I do. But so it's not your internet connection, it's just me when you hear it going like crazy. Today's webinar is all about the business side of being a voice actor, and I once spoke to a voice actor in 2011, I think, and she was one of the biggest voice actor stars in Holland in the 80s and the 90s, and she made 6 figures yearly. You know what I mean. And then she said, well, nowadays in 2012, there are many starting voiceovers who are having more jobs than I do. And that's not good, she said. And I thought, yeah, I think you're right, because they had a better internet site, they did SEO, SEA, etc., etc. Yeah, but why didn't she have a good internet site then? And why didn't she do search engine optimization, etc., etc.? And that's a bit of the thing right now. There are on LinkedIn over 1 million people who call themselves a voice actor. That's a lot, and those figures are growing year by year. But luckily, you need more than a great voice to make it in the voiceover business. If you have the experience, you only need to add the business side of it. And that's where we are going to talk about right now. Today, we asked our friend Philip Bank to do this one, and he's an award-winning British voiceover. He knows all about it. And during this webinar, if you have any questions, just ask. You can do that via the question and answer in Zoom, or if you are looking to the stream on Facebook, just ask your questions in Facebook via the comments. Okay, let's start. Let's switch from Amsterdam to the shores of Scotland for Philip Banks, day 6 of the 1605 Content Festival, webinar number 6. From Great Britain, Philip Banks. Enjoy.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Said the optimist. So I'm slightly worried that I'm not looking at me. Okay, I'm going to need some consumer feedback. If you can all hear me, raise your hands.
Yeah, I think everybody.
It was worth a shot. Thank you for giving up what for some must be a beautiful sunny day to listen to me talk complete and utter drivel, but it may help. I came to a view a few years ago that most voiceover people believe, say, marketing themselves is doing the same thing as every other voiceover whilst expecting a completely different outcome. If you look at the gangster movies, you know, the old black and white movies, there's a scene where in a dark alley, Big Tony, Little Tony, and Tony I wish I had a nickname, corner another guy, and they say, this ain't personal, this is just business. And then they shoot him. That's not a way to deal with your competition. There are better ways. So never go that far in your business. There genuinely are better ways. We're leaving a lot of room at the end of what I've got to say for questions, because people will have specific issues that they want to deal with, or either that, or just want to butt in and say, shut up, Philip. Our job really, when we're selling ourselves, is to win people's hearts and minds. So if you can imagine an equilateral triangle with 2 lines, so you can write something very small at the top and something larger at the bottom. Your approach to your business should be, if you write in the top, I, in the second row, me, and then in the bottom row, you. You'll notice that the big word needs to take up the most space. So the majority of your activity should be to create interest in other people, not other people's interest in you. So make sure your business is, rather than I and me centered, is you centered. Basically, it's a bit like if you're a rubbish shot, you can either have a rifle or you can have a buckshot. Well, a buckshot works far more effectively. I mentioned about hearts and minds. I think politicians use it all the time, but it actually started with, I think it was an Australian senior accounting executive, J. Walter Thompson. They realized that price didn't really help, color didn't really help, but what they needed to do was win the hearts and minds of their audience, which gets back to the I, me, and you. I can't make you like me, but you might have an opinion on my voice. But I can try and inspire you to use my services. If anybody ever phones me up, I always say, happy to help. You know, I don't come racing in with a price. So think about everything that you do that is talking about you. Eliminate that, eliminate the I and the me, and just introduce more you into your business. I think it was Keynes, the economist, said, the idea of a business is to make a profit. Now, that's not a cynical thing, it's just that we all like to eat. Most voiceovers decide, as I did when I launched my business, right, if I get 4 national TV commercials a year that achieve 3,000 TVRs, which means in the UK that everybody in the measurable audience has seen the commercial 30 times, I'll earn £52,000 a year for 4 hours work. But there are several more days in the year, that's an estimate, several more working weeks in the year. What if I don't get those 4 commercials evenly spaced out across the year? I need to find something else to do. So rather than just blindly launch a business, what I thought was, I need to work out, and you need to work out, exactly how much you need to earn to sustain yourself and your family's interests, feed yourself really, and also how much you need to spend to run your business. Most people just sort of, it's something like this. You need to know that number. Once you've got that number, divide it by 138. There's some logic in this. That effectively establishes your minimum fee. So if somebody says, will you do this for £50, €50, $50, you just say, no, it's below my minimum fee. What I'm working on the principle of is that on average, you will work 3 times a week and you will only work 46 weeks of the year. In fact, for most voiceovers, I think about 96% or more, those numbers that I've just given you, working 3 times a week, 46 weeks a year, are actually aspirational, you know, the stuff of dreams. But the idea is, how do you know if you're hitting target if you don't know what that target is? And business is really all about money numbers. I did that, I think, for the first 2 years of my business. And here's the key. With voiceover work, as in any other business, the first 2 years, if you make a profit, wonderful, but don't anticipate. The first 2 years of your business, all you have to do is survive. And there will be more money going out than there will be coming in. I think from voiceover work, in my first year, I went into December with exactly £18 in cash. What's that, about 25 euros, $25? If somebody gives you an idea and it's not a bland concept, then try and apply it, but also know what your outcome is going to be. If somebody says to you, well, this is a great way of launching your voiceover business, and they whoop, go for it, build a great website, always ask them, they say, well, how did that work out for you? How did my first cold call go, for example? I was like most people, I sat on the telephone and just said, Do you ever use freelance voiceovers in your work? First rule of law is the same as the first rule of marketing. Never ask a question to which you don't already know the answer. It gets a dialogue going with people. I would then ask them permission to send a demo tape, because that's how old I am. I was sending them out I was sending out audio cassettes. My goal was just simply to convert enough people so that I could get 3 sessions per week, and my minimum session fee, 46 weeks per year. And it took me 2.5 years to get there, roughly. Now, because we don't particularly use demos and sending demos to people, you need a good website. It doesn't need to be a 4-page website. It doesn't need to be glossy and wonderful and carry branding statements. For us, it's our business card. So when we present our information, it's just, this is who I am, and this is how I sound. This is how you get in touch with me. People don't actually need any more information than that. Go to your website and see if it passes this one test. From the moment your website loads, are you listening to audio from you within 3 seconds? If not, change your website. I see people who have all about their hobbies, the stuff that people don't need to know. They need to know how you sound and how to get in touch with you. And what's nice is, rather than have a pair of headphones and a microphone on your website, just have a photo of you making eye contact. I'm not photogenic, but I even have a photo of me on the website. And the key is, there is a soft smile playing across my tempting lips and eye contact. If people hear your voice, see your face, see you smile, and see you making contact, they feel they know you. You're making a great connection by doing that. There are guys out there who will tell you, well, you need a 20-page website, you need all sorts of things for search engine optimization. What these guys are actually claiming is that they can outwit the $160 billion a year Google. That's a brave statement. And I know of nobody who can actually prove that. Which gets back to my original point. In your business, only ask people to prove what they say to you, particularly if you're paying for their advice. I can talk utter nonsense to you simply because this is free and the dog's not due for a walk for another hour. The psychology of running your business is about making a sale and keeping a client. Most people are so busy marketing to try and generate new clients that they actually forget the guy that they spoke to last week. They will readily offer a new client, say, a 10% discount, but they will moan like goodness knows what if an existing client says, look, I'm a bit short on budget. Can we just do this for, in my case, let's say £250? Philip, can you knock £20 off it? Because things are a bit tight. Do whatever you can to keep your clients. 1, they'll keep coming back, and 2, they will tell other people. Most of the stuff that voiceovers do on social media seems to be talking to other voiceovers. It's worth cleaning your social media contacts. I don't mean get rid of friends, that's not what I'm suggesting at all. But if you're talking to people about your business, you need to be talking to people who have an interest in your business. And that means a financial interest in your business. It's about the signals that you give to the market. I see somebody on social media regularly posting 3 jobs this morning, 1 explainer video. I don't know what that is, by the way. Have you ever done a video that explains absolutely nothing? I've done 1 commercial and I've done 1 on hold. And then there'll be silence for about 3 weeks. So does that tell you he's a busy guy, or does that tell you that, like most voiceovers, frankly, he's only done 3 sessions in a 3-week period? There's no shame in that. At the moment, we have a saturated market, and what's happening is people are falling off the edge. So Be friendly with other voiceovers, be friendly with other studios, be nice. It's great to just get online with somebody and have a good old moan. But when you're marketing your business, everything has to end in a sale. That's why most people that I talk to, they say they're working on their marketing, because you don't have to measure the results particularly. But if you're working on your sales, you can measure the results because you end up with more money in your bank account. I'm not quite as cynical as I sound, by the way. It's just simply that me and Bess need to eat, and I have no source of free food. So I need to maximize my sales opportunities. One of the things we need to do is make sure that we don't go below our minimum session fees, but also we know the worth of something, not the price of something. I did some numbers earlier. For those people who don't know, one of the most popular soap operas in the UK on a commercial TV network is Coronation Street. And they get around about 7 million viewers per episode. Let's imagine for today that TV commercials are banned. You can't advertise on TV. But Ford get in touch with you and they say, we've got an idea for you. We're going to give you one of our cars. And all we want you to do is just track down everybody who watches Coronation Street, go knock on their door and say, Ford have reduced the price of all their cars by £500. Don't get into conversation with them. Just say, have a good day, doff your cap, on to the next one. These numbers literally took my breath away. If you had to go and tell 7 million people in person, you'd have a job for 123 years. And at the average professional pay in the UK, you would be earning, for doing that job, £36,500. So were you able to live that long? Basically, you'd have a job that would earn you £4.9 million. There are people who are doing national TV commercials for £2,000. And they think because they can speak to 7 million people all in one hit, that, well, it's only an hour's work. The average national TV commercial in the UK, if everybody saw it 30 times, think how many people, how many commercials you think 30 times, should pay you around about £15,000. Now, there's an awful lot of wiggle room if you negotiate with people, but I'm not quite sure why somebody should do a £15,000 job for £2,000, or in some cases, £500. If anybody says to you in the UK, well, we don't know what the TVRs, that's how they buy airtime, by the way, we don't know what the TVRs are. There's no polite way of saying this, they're lying to you. Because when they write a check for their airtime, on the bill, it tells them exactly how many TVRs they're paying to achieve. And if the company doesn't achieve those television ratings, they have to refund to the clients. So know your worth. Stupid statistic for you. In 1978, the actor James Coburn did a commercial for the Schlitz beer company. He said the following, Schlitz Light. For that, he was paid $500,000. Now, that was in 1978. Had I got the time, I would have actually checked to see what inflation would have done to that, but it's a staggering number. You're not competing with people on Fiverr. You're not competing with James Coburn. All you're trying to do is just pay your bills. And by targeting your marketing towards sales, targeting your business towards sales, targeting your business towards people who use voiceovers, you will genuinely earn more money. You'll also save an awful lot of time. I noticed about 14 years ago, I was spending 85% of my time and resources marketing myself to people who produce local radio commercials. A local radio commercial in the UK pays about £25. 80% of my time generated 2 0.25% of my income. I stopped any efforts or any investment in local radio commercials. It obviously just wasn't for me. The worst thing that could have happened to me is my income would have dropped by 2.25%. But I would have got 80% of my life back and 80% of my resources back. The reality was the following year, I had a 58.5% pay rise because I could concentrate on the stuff that actually paid the proper money. Hopefully those are just some random ideas for you. It's better to address your issues, but if you just walk away with something from what I've just said, that's great. Stop everything you're doing unless you can prove results. Start doing something because you, within reason, know what the outcome is going to be. Now here's Yenta.
Yes. sorry, that was quick. Thanks. Philip, when you did your first moves in the voiceover business, you lived in London. You once told me you didn't thought of doing something with voiceover, but it just started somehow, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I met somebody who was moving from the BBC to commercial radio, and I was meeting her for dinner, but she was one of these people. How on earth she worked in live radio, I'll never know, because she was late for everything. So now the news at 4:15. I know it's supposed to be 4 o'clock, but I was doing something else. And I went to collect some studios, and they were making promos, trails, and that for a radio program. Yeah. Alison was late, so they said, "Would you just get, can you just come with me?" And they plonked me in the studio, and it was a mess. It was a complete mess. They were just trying this and trying that, and I wanted really to get thrown out because I was really hungry and I just needed to go. And I just thought I could be here for the rest of my life. And so I just said, well, why don't you just do so-and-so? Yeah, just trying to get involved in the conversation, things like that. And I think my friend Alison nearly threw a coffee cup at me. But the producer was just so frustrated. He said, well, if you're, I can't use the exact phrase because it's not nice, but he effectively said, if you're so clever, you do it. And because I was sat literally around the table, it was one of those studios, when they do interviews, so there are about 4 or 5 mics. And so I started reading something. And then the sound engineer, because I was just trying to communicate an idea, really, I wasn't trying to be clever. And the sound engineer said, can you just do that again, because you were a bit off mic? And I really didn't realize you were recording. And so we did that one, and then he handed me a piece of paper, and he said, well, here, can you just do that? And then as we left, a production assistant came up and put an envelope in my hand. And my friend Alison actually grabbed my hand and pushed it in my pocket and just went, shut up, shut up, shut up. And when I thought it was an envelope to put my security tag in and hand it back, but there was £150 in there. And I just thought, I need to be doing more of this.
Okay, and so you started, and what was what were those first steps you took?
Because I didn't really know what I was doing, but somebody said, well, you need to get a demo. And so I wrote some just silly things down, just ideas. I hired a music recording studio, which was fairly near me. I can even tell you that for an afternoon, they charged me £95. I walked out with a DAT, a reel, and also a good quality audio cassette. I then just sat and duplicated them. And I then did the phone calls. So I just thought, well, talk to radio stations, talk to TV stations, talk to everybody. And I did, most people just think, well, I'm only starting out, so I'll talk to the on-hold companies, or I'll talk to the baby radio stations. But the idea is never try and ski uphill. So I started at the top. So I sent a demo to the BBC network promotions unit. You know, they make all the national TV trailers, and the big ad agencies and that. And I was probably punching above my weight, and I fully accept that. But I was just gently skiing downhill, and then suddenly somebody said, "Yeah, what are you doing on Wednesday?" But my approach literally was, do you ever use freelance voiceovers in any of your work? As I said earlier, you know, first rule of law, never ask a question to which you don't really know the answer. I would then follow that up by saying, is it okay if I send you a demo? And before they had a chance to respond, I always said, you're allowed to say no, by the way, which got the reaction from everybody that it got from you. They always laughed. And the only person who ever said no to me actually said, are you free on Wednesday?
Great. And how many months or years did it take before you thought, now I'm looking at my bank account and I think I'm a voiceover now, earning that much yearly?
For the first, I think I did my first paid commercial session on the 28th of February 1990. So that was my 30th birthday, just out of interest. And the gaps between the sessions were quite long. But I think by the time I got to probably the end of 1994, I was doing extremely well.
Yeah. So you started with your first gig in which year, you think?
1990.
1990. So it were 4 hard years to go from 0 to.
Yeah. It was just a nice. It was a nice build, but you know, I was just doing anything and everything I could possibly do. But it's a bit like. You look at most of the internet companies, if you look at their first 4 or 5 years accounts, you're just thinking it's surprising that the people from the courts weren't coming in and confiscating your personal belongings. So initially what you do is, providing what you're asked to do is legal, decent and honest, just say yes to everything. And so I was writing for radio, I was writing for TV, I was just doing all sorts of freelance stuff. Because if you think about it, I'm just picking a number, nobody needs £500 a week, but if they can get £100 every day, funnily enough.
Here in the Netherlands, there are among the native speaking voiceovers, so the native Dutch speaking voiceovers who are really making money. I think it's about 1 to 200 voices here in the Netherlands. So we are with a small crowd. When I look at in the early days when you went to Voices 1, 2, 3, you saw we've got how many was it? 30,000 American English voice actors. Holy crap! Well, that's not happening here. But how many people you think in the UK are really making money with voiceover? So I mean, it's just their work.
I would be genuinely surprised if it was more than 1,000.
1,000, yeah.
Genuinely surprised.
Yeah.
And this is what it's, you know, my favorite piece of jargon is the signals that you send to market. And I use the example of the guy who said, I've just done 3 jobs, and then you don't hear from him for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. So here in Holland, because we are with 100 to 200 people who are really making voiceover money, and I think in Holland, people who are calling themselves a voice actor, I think it's about 2,000 or 3,000 or something like that. Here in Holland, being a one-trick pony doesn't work because there are not so many jobs that for example, if you want to make a living as a trailer voice here, it's going to be hard because there are simply not that amount of jobs. How is that in the UK?
Um, I did a rough statistic based on the information that I could find, and think I think globally, if you are earning, like I say, if globally, if you are earning, I'll say 50,000, because if you think euros, dollars, or pounds, it's sort of there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
If you're earning £50,000 or more, you are in the top 1% of voiceover earners globally.
Yeah.
The people say make millions with your voice. There is no voiceover out there, with the exception, say, the James Coburn thing that I mentioned. Just jobbing voiceovers. There isn't a voiceover out there earning $1 million a year. Say make $1 million with your voice, and you just say that's great, but over what time period? If it's over 40 years, then having said that, that's better. So, because you think about it, sort of 98% is just an additional piece of income.
Yeah.
The average union actor, I think, in the US, that's from all their acting work, including voiceovers, they're earning, I believe the number is around about $8,000 a year. I believe it's a ridiculously low number.
Yeah.
It's not a living wage for anybody.
Yeah.
So if people are doing well as voiceovers, if they're earning more than 50,000 a year, actually, I always say we're freaks. That's the best way to describe it. And it seldom is not their fault. It's just you just show up, you do the job. One of our great broadcasters in the UK once was in an interview, and they were saying, "You seem to be doing everything everywhere." And he was an Irish broadcaster, a guy called Terry Wogan, and he just shrugged his shoulders and said, "Well, they either like you or they don't."
It's true. Yeah. Sometimes when I started being a voice actor, sometimes I got jobs where I thought, me as being a trailer voice. Oh well, what the fuck? Or I think this should be spoken by a woman. But okay, if they ask me, I will voice it. But if you look at yourself, while you were growing as a voice actor, uh, did you notice that people were trying to book you for really specific jobs?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I'm a bit of a one-trick pony. I'll notice when somebody selects me from a voice reel, I can usually predict which style they're going to go for, and it's one of two.
Yeah.
There's the lighter side of me, which is a little more engaging, which is used for charities and voices like that. That gets used a lot. It's really where I not literally, but I turn most of the chest off, so everything comes from up here. And it's a bit more intimate. And the other one is really just the I want to eat your children voice, which is closer to my natural voice. I've got to be very careful the way I address people, because
you mean the voice you use for the horror channel?
Yeah, that kind of thing. So it can be sort of very dark, or and so usually it's just those two things.
Okay, but by knowing there is a tone of voice within you, which is your one-trick pony voice, is that something you specifically aim for when looking for clients?
Yeah, the idea is if you offer to a client a style or a mood that you can do literally standing on your head, then it makes sessions go a lot better. There are voiceovers, well, I could probably do this, or that's a bit of a stretch for me, but it's sort of within my vocal range. We're now living in a world where you don't get away with that anymore. Because if they're just trying to get the voice right first, and then get the performance, and then get scripts don't usually fit to time. There's a thing called Advanced Human Performance and Limitations, which, forgive the jargon, it's something that's used when they train people to fly airplanes. And they just make the pilots aware of what pressure will do to you. And so if your workload is too high, your natural skills start to fall off because your brain and your body is compensating. It's basically stealing resources that you need from elsewhere. So I always say to people, if you're auditioning for a job or putting yourself up for a job, be as confident as is practical that you can deliver the voice style. Because once they start putting you under pressure, your reading skills and your voice skills will start to fall off.
Yeah.
So you need to be so comfortable with where you are.
Which is one thing. Yeah. Okay, Philip. We are with a bunch of people right now via Zoom and via Facebook. There are lots of questions, but if you have any questions, just ask them. When you are within Zoom, just ask them via the Q&A within Zoom. If you are in Facebook, just ask them by leaving a message. Shall we start by doing some?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, Daisy Boulder says, how can you promote yourself the best? So if you want to may say one thing, Philip, just one thing, what's the best?
A one-page website and point people to it.
Check. Ben Holvarsson says, Philip, when are you going to join the cast of the Coronation Street? Yeah. This is the most important question of the whole webinar.
Yeah, I think I could play Dave the Builder. So it's going to happen sooner or later.
Right. Daisy Boulder says, what market is the most fun to start in as a beginner?
There's no such thing, but it gets back to what I was saying earlier. Do what you're most comfortable with.
Yeah.
But also don't trust your own judgment. You know, you might think that you have the best voice for movie trailers, whereas somebody will say, no, you're nice and bright and light and friendly. So go for furniture commercials.
Yeah.
But also just remember, nobody knows that you've just started out. So don't try and ski uphill.
Yeah.
Do what I did. Just start with the big boys and start skiing downhill. You won't do any damage to yourself.
When I started, I thought doing voiceover is doing advertising for radio and television, and I thought jingles and promos, radio. And then I sent a demo to a friend of mine with a studio, and he said, well, Jente, I need a narration demo, because most jobs that I do is just video. So I started doing that, and I think at voice booking, 85% of what we do is narration. And so, for example, radio, if it's 5% of what we do, it's already much, I think. Peter Moltmaker, he's from Holland. Do you show the rates on your website?
No.
Why not?
Because you can't close a deal on a website. You need people to talk to you. Also, you need to be able to talk to them. It gets back to that, you know, the Ford commercial.
Yeah.
You know, people, Philip, how much would you charge for a commercial? You just write back, how much would you charge for a car? Say, well, I don't know what car you want. Exactly.
Yeah. So there are the A brands you work for, and there are the smaller brands you work for. If it's just a web video, let's say 0 to 250 words, would that be something where you think, okay, that's something you should add on your site, the price of that, or you
No,
say no?
no,
Okay.
no, because
Yeah.
it gets back to the thing. You can't close the deal. What you want
Yeah.
people to do, send you send you an email, and you just explain what they want.
Yeah. You,
Either that or just pick up the telephone. If my rates are too high, they will have wasted 15 seconds of their life. Hi, Philip, I've seen your website. I'd like you to do an explainer video. It's only for an engineering company in Norfolk. I just say, well, my minimum fee is £250 plus VAT. Is that okay for you?
yeah. You once told me a story for the shirt sponsor of FC Madrid, wasn't it? So the 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 football club, and you said when they ask you to do the voice, you how do you say that in English? You have tried to figure out what their production budget was, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And it was one of those things. They had one of our leading sports TV show presenters, and he played the part of a cab driver in it. Uh, we are talking in terms of the production. They were spending millions, literally millions, on it. For me to say a half a dozen words, I was on the line with a studio, funnily enough, Wave Studios in Amsterdam, and it was a 2.5-hour session. But what they were actually promoting was the fact that the airline was sponsoring FC Barcelona to the tune of 90 million euros. So what they were spending on TV airtime and producing this commercial was kind of beer money.
Yeah. You think, let's assume you thought, it's just one line. Let's ask just £1,200. Do you think you got the job sooner or just not?
I don't really know. There's because they were working, if you like, to a rate card. But it also gets back to my Ford story. That if you just one line, Ford have reduced the prices of their cars by £500 to just tell 7 million people who watch Coronation Street that's a job for life. When more than life is a job that will take you 132 or 123 years to complete. So again, it's the value of it. Also, people forget, if you put all these credits on your website, so I work for the following, it's the best way to stop people contacting you, because they will see their competitors on there. Your work should stand up on its own, so it could reduce it. Also, it's a great prospecting tool for other voiceovers. Yeah. So you go to another voiceover's website. Also, they use voiceovers, do they? Hi, I'm Dave. Can you? People think they're great testimonials. Your website is just your business card. I don't know anybody who's got an 8-page business card. My business card is this, and on the back is that.
Simple as that. Tamara Marcus, she's asking, would you recommend to email companies that use voiceover straight away, or would you always give them a call first?
We don't talk enough to people, so I would say, give them a call. And what they might say is, well, email your demos. Yeah. And just remember that key phrase, because you can say that, because nobody physically posts mails demos anymore. Mm-hmm. Just say, is it okay to send you a link to my demos? And then just finish before they even say anything. Say, you're allowed to say no, by the way.
Michael Kendall says, almost a philosophical question, but to what extent should you make yourself into a business? Of course, there are some basics like dedicating yourself to business hours, but I can also imagine there's a point where you go too far.
I can't imagine where you would go too far. I think there are some people, they immediately become LLCs. They're obsessed with branding, and we're not brands.
Yeah.
You know, because the guys in the USA, every Brit voice that I know who's moved to the USA, they come up with the British voice.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just thought, well, I mean, there are at least 865 British voices within walking distance of my office, but they're not voiceovers. So people need to know your name, and people need to associate you with the sound. When I made that link,
yeah,
you know, there are people, the voices in your head. And I got an email from a guy that were doing a TV commercial for somebody, and he said, when I read the script, he said, I heard your voice. So he just sent me an email, are you free on Friday? So that gets to you. People visit your website, click play, and then 99 times out of 100, you're not going to be the right sound.
I heard you say something about the fee. If it's below your fee, just say no. You said, but many voices start doing by voiceovering for free or for almost nothing, and then there comes the point where you look at your bank account and you think, okay, I'm a professional voiceover now. I should make my rates higher. But I hear from many voices that they are really anxious to raise. So to say to their old clients, okay, I want more money now for it. What did you think in those days where you thought, okay, I will stop with doing things which are below my fee?
I really couldn't afford to do that. And also it's you've got to start somewhere. And the idea, if you are selling yourself as a professional voiceover, then you charge professional fees.
Yeah.
I remember once being in a TV station, and there was a really old school sports presenter, and he was writing he was writing the results and things like that. And one of the young TV newsreaders came in and was talking to another person, and he said, "Oh, somebody's asked me to give the prizes away at a certain place and things like that." He said, and so, well, they haven't got very much money, and it was sort of chatting. And this guy, Roger, who, like I say, then been in the business 40 odd years, just shouted, "The professional should always get paid." And they were saying, yeah, but, and all Roger was like, you know, the old record with the needle stuck in the same point. His needle was just stuck. The professional should always get paid. And he wouldn't move on from that. And I think we have to do this. You know, you do favors for friends, or you help somebody out when they're in trouble. But as a general rule, you just say, well, we're happy to help, but somebody said, will you do this? I've got, 100 euros. Say, happy to help, but my minimum session fee is 250 euros.
Yeah. When I do a discount, I always write it down on the invoice. So you always see what I wanted to charge, and then minus blah 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 blah, so that people will know that it's a discount, and also that people will never have the possibility to say, hey, last year your price was blah 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 blah, and now it's higher. Yes, it was a discount. On Facebook, there's a question. So if you have a question on Facebook, just ask them, and via Zoom, via the question and answers. A question from Catherine Campion. After 20 plus years in the US Performance Union and having contracts negotiated by agents, I'm now having to negotiate my own rates. Sometimes I refer clients to voratecard.com. Sometimes I ask them what's their budget. Would love to have some advice from you, Philip, about budgets.
Yeah, the key is, it gets back to that, where I was saying, when you send a demo, say you're allowed to say no, by the way.
Yeah.
And because I would say, it's putting them first, it's the big you at the bottom. Just saying, happy to help you. Have you set a budget for this project? I'll try my best to fit in.
Yeah.
Because you're making no commitment, but what you're doing is that I'm going to try and help you. Try and get a homeless kid in Mumbai to buy you a new Volvo. If somebody says, look, my marketing department have given me £250 for this radio commercial, it's going to run on 4 stations. They say, well, the rate is £800. And the guy's going to say, do you speak English? Because I'm pretty sure I said 250. And then you've just got to decide, is it worth it? People are worried about dragging the market down. There's Fiverr out there. How many more people do you want to drag the market down?
Just to go to a question about Fiverr. It's from Michael Dunniger. I hope I pronounce your name right. How do you compete with Fiverr rates, Philip?
I don't. I don't. You see, a lot of productions that are out there, the voice that they use, it's that'll do. Most voiceovers have delusions of adequacy. I have no delusions of adequacy. And so, people say, I've only got up to a Fiverr to do this. I say, you'll find plenty of voices on Fiverr who will literally do it for a Fiverr. And if you just want something to read it out loud, that'll be fine. If you phone my doctor's surgery, it's one of the partners, one of the doctors there, who does the automated phone system. And he's not a voiceover, he's a doctor. But everybody goes, oh, that's Lewis, is his name. And there was I think it was in the West Midlands in the UK, there was a commercial production company based in a radio station, and it was called That'll Do Productions.
That will do.
Yeah, that'll do. If people are just looking for a voiceover, I'll do. But if they're looking to hire me, I'll do my best to fit in with the budget. But as I've said, me and Bess don't eat very much. But I know what my viability level is.
What do you do when the business is low? So sometimes you have those weeks or months or a crisis like now, and sometimes there are times the business is low. What do you do then?
Take a dog for a walk.
He was just there. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what it was. She was probably coming to collect me. So, it's really just starting to talk to people again. Mm-hmm. Lots of people say, I'm working on my marketing. And have you ever read this on Twitter? I'm pleased to now reveal. And when you read their revelation, you realize they didn't actually say anything. Hey, I'm a voiceover, I've just done another voiceover. Or guys, what do you think of my show reel? Never ask a voiceover what he thinks of your show reel, because they know nothing. It's a bit like asking a pilot coming back to a passenger and say, how was my flight? To say, I don't know. Simply because we landed safely, so I'm assuming it was okay. So it's just making sure that you're reaching out to people. People write. The funniest thing I ever saw was a guy made a video. He said, "Here's a great way how to audition copy." And what he did was he took a script that he just got and he read it 3 different ways. That was the entire coaching session. And I just thought, what? If business is flagging, then, go back to all clients and just say, hi, I'm still here. And hope you're okay. So you can, reach, it's far easier to get, to convert an existing client than it is to create a new one. And so if you look after your clients, there's one company, voiceover said, don't do anything for nothing. Guy phoned me up and he said, we're just starting a new business. He said, we need a voiceover. He said, how much will you charge for it? We're going to send salesmen out to promote our production company. And I said, I'm not charging you for that. he said, well, I've got to pay you something. I said, no, don't worry about it. And it was literally 2 minutes of my time, and I just emailed it back. But the MD of this company, literally 3 guys in a small office, and at the end of the week, whose turn is it to get paid, kind of thing. And he said, why would you do that? And I said, you're sending salesmen out with a laptop, and they play this video presentation. This is what our company can do for you. And that's me sounding butch and clever. And then when the guy said, yeah, you can do this for us. And they say, okay, well, we'll come up with a script and come in. What about a voiceover? And most people will say the following: what's wrong with the guy in your video?
Yeah.
And I was right. I've been working for that company for, I think it's something like 14 years now, on and off.
When you are doing business with the United States, you have an agent in the United States, isn't it? Or
yes, I do. But more often than not, people just come direct.
yeah.
We've got to a stage now where casting sites and certain agents and things like that actually get in the way.
Yeah. So when do you move to an agent, and when do you do the things by yourself?
I mean, the agent, an agent will find me a job. In America, it's kind of weird because they just, you audition for everything. And that shouldn't happen. There's enough information out there where potential clients, producers and that, just pick one. That it's only if they're having difficulty finding a voice. I once heard a lady who, to promote her own business, she was going to set up a voiceover website for loads and loads of voiceovers. And she actually said, well, when I was a copywriter for a big advertising agency, I had a terrible job finding voiceovers. I thought that is simply not true. Either you never worked for a big ad agency, or you never actually tried to, or you're just trying to encourage, but I can help you with, best way to create a sale is first create a problem and then invent a solution for it.
About the big agencies, Abbott, there was a famous copywriter. Was it David Abbott or something from London? Well, there's a question now from Matt Abbott. Could you speak some more on how much I need to earn, how much I need to spend, and divide that by equitation? Well, can you tell something about wages, I think?
Okay. I'll give you, let's see if I've got some numbers here. This will give you some idea, okay? If you wanted to earn, let's say, 25,000 a year, I'm just using that as an example, 25,000 a year. Now, part of that is to run your business, and the 20,000 is for you. Okay. As we've already established, voiceovers who are working all the time are extremely lucky, and freaks like me. I'm just a freak. That's all it is. But I knew it's going to cost me money to launch my business. So what I thought was, I'm not going to work all the time. So all I did, £25,000 a year. I just assumed, right, I'm going to have 6 weeks because of vacation and also public holidays, and also just blank weeks because there's no work around. I have 6 blank weeks. That means that I've got to earn all my money in the remaining 46 weeks. But I'm only going to get 3 sessions a week. So therefore, you're actually going to get 138 sessions in a year. So all you do is take the 25,000 you need to earn and divide it by 138.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
So I've got a job for you for 50
sure.
pounds.
Yeah. Peter Bottenmaker, he asked, where can you find the most work?
I don't know. It depends what you're good at. But the thing to do is, if you go to company websites and just see if they've got a media section, that's a good way of doing it. It's that skiing downhill thing again. When you turn on the TV, you will hear, could be me, going, tonight at 9 on CNBC, or Tonight at 9 on BBC One. There was a writer, there was a video editor, there was a producer, and there was a voiceover involved in that. She'd say, who's the guy? Yeah, ring up, if you like, the BBC as an example. Ring up the BBC and say, do you have an in-house promotions department? What did I say about the law thing? You know, never ask a question to which you don't already know the answer. Say, who's your head of promotions? Who's your senior promotions producer? Get in touch with the guy. They're really busy, so they probably won't take phone calls, but that's where you can send one of those, a USB thing, and put your demo on it, and just add your business card. Yeah, can I help? You know, they'll listen to 3 or 4 seconds of the demo and decide, yeah, you're a fit.
Have you ever heard the story that in the United States they once had to vote about is our native tongue going to be Dutch or English? And you English guys had just one vote more. Otherwise, the whole world had spoken Dutch, Philip. And sometimes I think, oh my God.
Yeah.
If my voiceover business, if I had the possibility to have a worldwide market as being just a native Dutch voice, that would be really great. How much is the percentage you do outside of the UK and within?
I would guess probably 80% of my work is non-UK based work.
Whoa!
It might end up back in the UK, but you know, most of it is sourced from outside.
Yeah.
You know, a friend of mine was up here a few months ago, Darren Altman, and he came down for breakfast. He came down for breakfast, and he said, "What were you doing up at 2 o'clock in the morning?" I said, "A promo session, TV promo session." Because that's when they were in bed. You know, I did this thing for Disney, and you know, people think, oh, I must have gone through the agent and all sorts of negotiations and things like that. It was a Friday, and an email came from James at Disney and said, "Please tell me you haven't gone away for the weekend," because they need some stuff to do.
I thought Darren somewhere in the list, so he's watching. Hi, Darren. Hi. Okay. Well, we are talking for 1 hour now. Should we do a last round of questions?
Yeah.
Just one moment. That's a good one. From Desiree Rocher. Who's your voiceover hero when you got started? Who was your voiceover hero?
I don't actually have a voiceover hero as such, because it's not heroic. You know, heroes rescue people from burning buildings. Voiceovers just send people to sleep. There was somebody I just thought had a great sound. There was a Canadian actor called Bill Mitchell, and also there was a guy who used to be in a band called CCS.
Yeah.
And his name, isn't it funny how?
So it's not Creedence Clearwater Revival, but it's.
No, it was a band called CCS.
I'm walking next to you.
And I saw him doing a voiceover for a Kodak TV commercial. And so there's Bill Mitchell. He did a TV commercial for denim, which was an aftershave. And it was literally, when a man uses denim. And Alexis Corner was the other guy I was trying to think of. He's a great blues, jazz and blues guitarist.
Yeah.
But he just had a tagline. I was watching making this commercial. There's this guy in this booth and big sideburns and rings and things like that. And all he had to say, and this was his line, it was just literally, "Keep it with Kodak."
Nice. Would you recommend one demo file on your website with multiple style snippets, or rather different separate demos files per style? That's being said by Jeroen Muller.
The workflow on your website literally is, people click on your website. There's a photo of you smiling at them. On this side of your website, there is a player that will play about 1 minute of audio. what you need for the first 3 or 4 seconds is the voice that is absolutely you. Don't wait, but people say you need a demo for every single thing. Well, I don't think you do really. But the deal will be sealed in literally 3 or 4 seconds. And what you do is you put something amusing or clever at the end of your demo as a reward for them sticking with it for the full 1 minute 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But the Americans talk about your money voice. Yeah, but for the first 3 or 4 seconds, just let people just say, when Woodavine joined voice booking,
yeah,
he did a round robin English expression phone call. Just bring up, hi, I'm just introducing myself. Hi, I'm just introducing myself. I picked up the phone, and as you know, when I pick up the phone, hello, Philip Banks. And he went, and he said, sorry, he said, that really threw me. And here's the reason it really threw me. He said, I've been calling voiceovers all day. He said, you're the only person who actually sounds like their demo.
Right. Well, when we started in 2011, there was one British voice, and we noticed that almost every job he did was the first sample of his demo, and that's something we play with. That's sometimes when we have a voice on our website and we think the voice should earn more jobs. If we change the first sample, mostly it goes like this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Philip, thank you very much for joining and for inspiring us. I hope to see you soon on the shores of Scotland, because that's something we're going to do.
Yeah, just before we go, I'm fairly easy to find. If anybody has a question that they want answered, feel free to either pick up the phone, get on Skype, or just send me an email. I'm happy to answer questions.
What's the email? What's the email address?
So it's Banksy, Banksey, Banksy, at talk21, so TALK21.com. Banksy at talk21.com. But they'll find it on my website. They'll find it on my website anyway. So,
one moment, Philip. The 1605 Content Festival will continue.
By the way, it's BANKSEY.
Check. So just for one more time, the whole email address. Sorry, what was it?
It's Banksy, BANKSEY at talk21.com.
Okay, and I think Max is writing it down now in the chat. Okay.
He did. Rock and roll. Thank you.
Yeah. So the 1605 Content Festival will continue tomorrow with a Dutch spoken webinar. This Friday, Robin, the movie, will be there. It's the making of an interactive animation. They will show how it works. That's next Friday. Then also in English is Machteld van der Gaag. She's a trilingual voiceover, one of the best here in the Netherlands, and she will talk about online directing and remote recording. So that's next Friday. We already did this one in Dutch, and it was awesome. So check it out and subscribe. Then audio use in video productions will be hosted by Julia Weitz from Epidemic Sound. That's I think next Wednesday. And our great friend Stefan Konikar will be there. I think that's Monday in a week. And he's going to talk about character building for animation. So how should something sound? So those are just a few. Just go to voicebooking.com/en/webinar and subscribe to as many webinars as you want. They are all for free. Philip, thank you. I hope to share some thoughts with you really soon. It was really great having you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a pleasure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.